Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's VinPF, and on today's episode I've got another Waterford here to try, and this one's a brand new one actually, kind of literally fresh to the market, so I'm very grateful for them for sending this over for my review. Today we've got a Biodynamic Cuvee Lunar, and we'll sort of get into that a little bit about what all that means and what this is, blah blah blah, as we go through it. Obviously, Waterford is Irish. You know, I'm very, very limited on Irish behind me. Doesn't tend to be something I reach for, generally speaking, which is my own fault. You know, I really do need to get into Irish. I say it every single year. I really do need to get into Irish properly. It just doesn't seem to be my kind of purchasing habits, which is a real shame. But it's good to have this on the table today. Obviously, I have to talk about the bottle a little bit because, as always, extremely striking. Love the blue bottle. Can see the level of it. Amazing. And I quite like these little glass toppers on top. You know, you'll see, again, I think I do this a lot on these videos, but a lot of people struggle with opening these. But there's a little tip for it where you rock it with your thumb rather than trying to pull it like a normal cork, because that's not going to happen. Rock it with your thumb and it'll pop off nicely. And I really do like these glass toppers with the little plastic seal around the top. Tough thing to say, but I'm not actually a huge fan of the cork. I like the noise, I like the pop, but not the best engineering seal possible. It's just a nice part of whiskey. Anyway, so yeah, Waterford. Actually, you should go and check out one of my early videos where I did the tour of Waterford. Really enjoyed my time there, and I'm a massive fan of engineering and things like that. So yeah, a really interesting distillery. So I'll drop a link to that in the description below. Okay, so what we have then, converse to their normal vibe. You know, a lot of the things that they talk about with Waterford are the terroir, you know, and that's the same with this one as here. You can do the bottle code on the back, the terroir code, but again, I'll just drop a link directly to that below. But you can literally go and see every piece of information that you can probably want. I mean, I'm sure there's other things you might want to know, like you know, boiling temperatures, I don't know, whatever you want to know, but all of the important stuff, in my opinion, is right there. So that's brilliant. I love that kind of thing, that openness. But the whole vibe of Waterford is the terroir. You know, they know what farm their barley has been grown in. They know what kind of barley. They know who did it, where. They know what distillers did it. Blah blah blah. And you can trace all of this back just by tapping that code in there. And all that information will be listed for you. And as a reviewer, that makes my job very easy because I don't have to go and search for cask types or age or anything like that. You know, sometimes I get a bottle and literally all I have is the name, no information whatsoever. So yeah, that's really nice. Now, what I want to talk about here is, aside from all of that, you know, they're paying farmers to plant the barley that wouldn't normally be planted. You know, a farmer tends to look at yield, you know, so they'll be looking at what can they plant that will be a good yield, you know, that's gonna give them the best price per ton or whatever. And often Waterford will ask the farmer to grow a specific kind of barley, and that might not be the best for that area or whatever, you know, or might not give the best yield. And Waterford will pay that farmer what they would have got if they had the other crop. Obviously, that makes this whole process quite expensive. But here we have this Biodynamic Cuvee Lunar. Very important distinction from their normal stuff, you know, their normal terroir and all that lot. Biodynamic, I'm not going to go into it too heavily here, but the basic element of it is that forget yield, forget you know, price per ton, all that kind of stuff. What Biodynamics is really interested in is caring for the soil. So it's not just growing what's going to make the most amount of money. It's growing what should be grown in that soil and trying to make improvements to that soil. There are some things about kind of lunar cycles and things like that I don't fully understand, I will admit, but they do have a very long 17-minute video that you can watch on that page that's below, if you're so interested in that. Having said that, I don't think it will convince everybody, but people that are open-minded to these practices, you know, I've been watching a lot of Clarkson's Farm and things like that. Very good show, actually, even though I'm not a huge fan of the man himself. But it opened my eyes to a lot of farming practices and what's good and what's not and what makes money and what doesn't, blah, blah, blah. So, long story long, I enjoy that they're making some effort into tapping into the ground and finding out what the ground needs to grow good crops. This is based on, anecdotal and scientific evidence for sure. They've got like some wine producers in France that have started trying this, and over the last decade or so, the fruits of those labours have become evident. So as they say, what seems like hokum now, in 5-10 years, they think is going to be fairly common practice as soil tends to degrade and things like that. So yeah, besides the point. Interesting concept. Point behind that is that this sells for sort of £90 in the UK. It is quite expensive, but that's basically why, it's expensive to make. Okay, so to top off the bottle then, this is a 90 quid whiskey. It's Irish single malt, 50%, and it's got a pretty interesting cask composition of 37% first fill American oak, 17% brand new American oak, virgin as they say, 25% vin de natural or vin de natural, and 21% premium French. So a lot of different stuff going in this. Again, on the link below, you can go in there and it breaks it down not only into those percentages, but also tells you everything you need to know about each cask in turn. There's 27 casks in this particular batch, which is really interesting, and they were all filled in something like 2018 to 2019. So it's a 5-year-old whiskey, at its at the proper figure, but I think some of it is over 6 years old, which is pretty cool. I like that. Okay, let's get into the actual dram itself and see what we got. Now, actually, typically speaking, obviously this is non-chill filtered natural coloured, as is the Waterford way, but typically they have quite light in character colour, which is just the nature of their kind of processes at the moment. So this is actually, although it's still fairly light, it's got quite a nice golden character to it, which I'm enjoying. I like that. Good legs. Semi, in my, as says in my lovely whiskey journal, again, links below, semi-slow, we say. Okay, let's get onto the nose and see what we got. Now this, I don't know if you can see this, just about. Yeah, I'm about just where that label is. I've been sort of drinking this over the last couple of weeks, trying to kind of figure it out. And it's an evolving whiskey. It's one that deserves to be left out in the glass. This has been out for about 20 minutes now. Because, genuinely, it is, despite all those different cask types, it's quite spirit forward, which is no bad thing. I like a spirit forward whiskey. Despite kind of fresh American oak in this, what did I say, 17%? It's quite spirit forward. It's very floral, it's very fruity, very sweet. Bags of kind of malt and biscuit and barley in there, which is lovely. Obviously no smoke in this whatsoever. Really nice kind of light floral nose. I'm enjoying that. Let's try on the palate. Well, again, bags of character. Again, quite spirit forward. Lots of, that 50% is kicking. I like that. So on some reviews, I'll say whether it tastes, in my opinion, the ABV that is stated. In this one here, I think it packs a little bit of higher punch than what 50% feels like, which is interesting. I like that. But yeah, this has got loads going on in it. It's very sweet up front. It's quite herbal. This has got some. It's hard to say. It's not very tannic. So I'm not trying to say it's like kind of leafy in terms of tobacco, but more like a tea than anything else. Not like a normal black tea. Maybe something a little bit more herbal, like a kind of like an oolong or something like that. Very nice. Interestingly, quite citrus heavy. I would say more on the lemon side of things. And it's got a kind of like fizziness and effervescence about it, which I find really interesting as well. Yeah, lovely. Really lovely, really juicy. I've got some salivation going on now just because it's hitting the right notes for me. Now, here's going to be the kicker. It's very expensive. Truth be told, would I have bought this if I hadn't going to have been sent it? Then, I mean, no, because I don't tend to have the money for that sort of whiskey for sure. This one here is 100% for the Waterford fans already. I don't think it's going to switch anyone onto the brand just purely for price of entry. There are much cheaper ways of getting into the brand. I think it's a brand worth checking out. I know not everybody thinks that. I think a lot of people think that they're still probably a little bit youthful, but I like that. I like vibrant, youthful spirit that's had thought and attention put into its cask profiles. I'm fine with that. The fact that they don't state the age specifically on the bottle, but the fact that they have that age information around at 5 years, some of it being 6 years, fine by me. You know, I've just released a 5-year-old whiskey myself. More than happy with youthful whiskey. So if you're not bothered about that, if you are bothered about that, this isn't going to change your mind. Is the sad fact. But if you're not bothered about that, then and you're a fan of Waterford already, and you've been curious about this, but are wondering about the price of entry, I think go for it, because you'll not be disappointed. This is probably one of the most kind of floral and well-rounded Waterfords I've had. I've tried one of the other ones recently, the Cuvee coffee. Lots of difficult names to keep up with for me, but that one was probably the pinnacle of their kind of Cuvee range, as it were. I've only ever tried the biodynamic stuff in the distillery, and that was years ago now, so it's really nice to see how that's kind of performing with age at 5 years now, which is fascinating. Yeah, difficult to say. I think for a Waterford fan, 100% worth the money, without a doubt. But if you're watching this looking for an entry level to it, probably have a look at one of the other Cuvees. A little bit more affordable, I would say. You won't get the same experience for sure. You know, this one's definitely, it's got, you know, loads of stuff going on. You won't get that same experience, but yeah, hard to say is what I'm trying to say. It's hard to say. Wherever your opinion of Waterford sits, I think is probably going to be fair, and you'll either be already on board with this or you won't be, I think is the truth, genuinely. But like I said, if you're one of those people in the middle you're on board but you're not sure, give it a go. It's pretty fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. Or, you know, find yourself down to my local whiskey club and I'll probably have it on me. One of those things. But yeah, let me know what you're thinking below, if you're on board with this, if you want to try it, if you have tried it, whatever. Anything else to do with Waterford or Irish whiskey or any whiskey, whatever, chuck it down in the comments below and we'll have a little chat. In any case, I'll see you again on more videos coming soon. Cheers.